Oh, man, talking about a long night all of a sudden.
Oh, I think we're recording. So good morning. This is the pre-conference meeting for the Chestnut Street North Boyer Avenue Water Main Project. It's RFP number 24-3457-3. We are at 1123 Lake Street, City of Sandpoint in council chambers. I am Garrett Fitzgerald. I am the City of Sandpoint Grant Contract and Procurement Specialist. With me is Holly Ellis, project manager for this, along with Rod Burgett, our public utilities supervisor, and Brandon Staglin, who is our civil engineer.
All right, I'll jump in. Everyone has an agenda in front of them. And then everyone is signed in. There's a sign-in sheet going around. I'm gonna run through our agenda, pretty much reading line by line. So if you're in the room, you have it in front of you. If you're online, you'll hear it. At the top, we have introductions. You'll notice I've got Garrett. He's the only person listed at this point during bid. He's the only contact that you know, that you need to know. So if you have any questions, all questions are going to Garrett. His phone number and email are on the top of the page. So if you have any bid questions, they're due 3 days prior to the bid opening.
There is an adjustment. The phone number on that is, I changed to another office. So
Oh,
you just want to note my actual phone number direct line is 946-2092.
thanks, Garrett. And also we'll post notes from this meeting, so the notes will have them.
Sure.
During this project, City of Sandpoint is assuming all responsibilities of the engineer. We do intend to keep Century West on staff through the project as the engineer, and they'll be giving oversight, but you won't get any direction from them. They'll be an observer. So the scope of work for the project. This project is approximately 900 linear feet of 16-inch C900 water main, associated valves, fittings, hydrant assemblies, water connections, surface restoration, and associated work within portions of Chestnut and Boyer Street. So it's one block of Chestnut to Boyer, and then north to just south of the railroad tracks in Sandpoint, Idaho. The estimated cost is between $300,000 and $600,000. Prevailing wage, Davis-Bacon does not apply. Buy America does not apply. City of Sandpoint is not maintaining a plan holders list for this project during bid. And a City of Sandpoint business license is required to be had by the contractor and all of their subs. Moving to schedule, the bid opening is July 9th at 10 a.m. Note that time, 10 a.m. Deadline for bidder questions is 3 days prior to the bid opening. Again, they must be in writing and they must go to, it could go to Cheryl Hughes, but Garrett is our new Cheryl, Contracts and Procurement Administrator. So all the questions should go to Garrett. And deadline for any substitution requests is 5 days prior to the bid opening. We're anticipating council award for this project on July 17th. With notice to proceed 1 week later on July 24th. Substantial completion is September 27th, and final completion is October 18th. Liquidated damages are noted here. After substantial completion, 500 a day, and liquidated damages, 250 a day after October. So work requirements. The contractor may be on site between the hours of 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday to Friday, unless otherwise authorized by the owner in writing, no holidays. Staging is limited. We are working in a public right of way, so that's something that we want to have a conversation early about, is what your staging plan is going to look like, given that it's we're working on a public street. Traffic control and public accommodations. If you look at special provision, 1103 3.2, there are public accommodations noted there, considerations for trash pickup, mail delivery, making sure that driveway access is available to public residents during construction. It's a public project and we want to make sure that we are minimally disruptive. So pay attention to those special provisions. I have utility coordination called out here, Avista, seeing City of Sandpoint for water, sewer, and storm, but those are some of the companies that you'll be coordinating with during construction. I also have noted on here a water shutdown. So if we are disturbing water service to a resident, the city asks for 72 hours notice prior so that we can give all the proper notices to the residents who have their water services disturbed. And I don't know, Rod, are we anticipating a full shutdown on this project for any connections? Dewatering the water main?
Probably do it like root,
And I
lay the pipe. Yeah, they'll be probably, you know,
I'm thinking
yeah, they're gonna have to be.
The
They're gonna do
question-
tie-ins.
question I'm getting to is a water boil advisory notice. So that's the one that will be the most disruptive and we want to make sure the residents are aware of.
Either end, it's so. There will be a water shutdown and then.
A cut in, water, depressure the main, do the cut in. We'll jump more into the walk through the plans, but I'm gonna jump back to the bid requirements. So with your bid, we do have a bid form that's required with the bid. A bid bond in the amount of 5% of the work. Contractor is required to have a Idaho Public Works contractor's license. That should be noted on your bid form. Naming of subcontractors form is required per Idaho state code. So the state code requires some contractors be named. If that's the case, then they should be named on the form. And then there's also an addenda acknowledgement. We do have one addenda that we'll talk about, but make sure you're aware that we have one issued and that you acknowledge that on your bid submittal. And then jumping into the bid form and construction drawings. I'm going to look at the bid form as I'm speaking to it. So on your bid form, you have a line for mobilization, which is in lump sum, sediment control, site management as lump sum, traffic control is a lump sum item. Trench excavation is per linear foot. Your class A1 pipe bedding is per linear foot. Pipe material 8-inch, 16-inch, and 14-inch is per linear foot. Valves are per each 16 inches and 16 inches and 8-inch. Hydrants are per each. Your water service connections are per each, and crushed aggregate base and pavement, plant mix pavement for the restoration are per ton. So with that, we can chat about the drawings and details. Anthony, Rod, anything that you want to highlight for the benefit of the contractors in the room, just to be paying attention to? I'll start with just the addenda that we issued. Give me a second to pull it up here. Oh, I had it. So the addenda issue, one thing to pay attention to is we are replacing the bid form. So the previous bid form had the wrong number of water service connections. That water service connection has the correct line. So when you submit your bid, make sure it's on the updated bid form. The other piece to that addenda are related to details 1, 2, and 3 on the detail sheets. So instead of the callouts for Romac alpha couplings, replace it with Romac 501 couplings. And there's a note added to those details Thrust blocks shall be installed at the elbows nearest to the couplings in accordance with detail 5, drawing DO2. So pay attention to those addenda. And with that, Rod or Anthony, anything to call out or highlight in the plans? And then we'll open it up to any questions.
I think so. There will be gas main. By Chestnut and there's a main transmission gas through there. So that should be on the plans. It's on the plans, so. Or put the Vista for poles and gas, there'll be gas. We really tried to accomplish without having to disrupt the storm sewer that's there. Know that you're gonna have to be cutting the storm pipe out of the way to lay the water main. Place the storm back.
I was just gonna mention this one.
Yes.
Any questions?
I see a pressure sewer through there. Is there gravity also?
Pressure.
No gravity.
Changes to gravity right in that intersection.
So I thought there was some
There's a manhole there, and then the pressure takes off and then runs north. Got a pretty good idea where it's at. Any help that you guys can help us locating it, well, sure.
Sure.
It's a 4-inch that comes from a lift station, so. Yeah, so there is a sewer manhole there in the intersection of Boyer. That's where it turns to gravity. We try to keep everything north, the new water main north of that. We didn't disrupt the gravity sewer, but there will be a pressure sewer.
But it is controlled right there by lift station.
Yeah, the pawn shop lift station, so we'll work with whoever. To be able to turn off the lift station and work around. So
Is there a lot of flow on that lift station?
it picks up 6 or 7 places and that's about it. I mean, we could shut it down, we could pump it down in the morning and then probably shut it down for the rest of the day.
So there is an existing main in there, right?
There is. It's steel. 16-inch steel. It goes over to the east side of Boyer, the east side of Boyer. And it cuts back across to the north side. Or to the west side, and we are realigning it. To there.
How close to it are we gonna be?
On the other side of the street.
It's on the other side of the street. On Chestnut, it's gonna be really close.
We are capping and abandoning the main. The existing.
So are you conducting the tap yourselves, or is that something the contractor would be doing as well?
Contractor will be doing every connection to the meters. Say we tried to lay it out, so you dig alongside the existing water main, lay your pipe.
I remember seeing a cap spec in here.
Uh,
I can
So
follow up,
go.
I'll follow up with you on if it's in the plans, I'll send you a reference to it, or maybe it'll be an addenda, but I
Appreciate it.
think we just talked about a plug.
Oh, yeah.
Rod, do you want to talk about testing? So when we do deep pressure the main, at your inspections, what you're gonna want to see out there? When should they be calling you?
What's the name?
Already?
Well, we're getting 72 hours notice.
For the
And then-
tie-ins and stuff, so. I don't know how you guys are gonna lay it out, but, you know, get the main installed. Before the connection, we could probably pressure test that section. Test it, do a back teeth, on that new section, and then we'll come back and do the tie-ins. For the hydrants. and pull water samples, another set of water samples.
So the big takeaway is just making sure that you're in communication with the city because we have testing requirements that we're required to do before we provide drinking water back. So, close communication is gonna be key.
Is the city gonna provide all the water testing?
Do the pressure test. And we'll
As far as,
blow off. And then, pull back keys on the new main. Once that passes, then we do the tie-ins.
And these are all details too that we'll discuss in great length with pre-con. During our pre-con.
Yeah, charge line.
Saying like isolate, charge the line not to connect it to the system, do a back T test. Connect everything.
And that details are done. Pressure tested. Then we'll do the connections. Once the connections are done, we'll do. Just for the connection parts.
we won't have to collect any of the water like that, from the blow off and stuff. We won't have to collect any of the water. You've got,
No, I typically direct where that water will go. So there might be a nice area we'll look for an area that.
This thing's got a couple big areas.
We can direct it directly to the storm, right?
Yeah.
There's really good storms.
So good storm system right on Chestnut.
Yeah.
So like. Picking up the. All the blow off water to Chestnut. Catch basins and stuff there. Yep.
Traffic controls. We've got, Chestnut can be closed for up to a certain number of days, and then it's a flagging for Boyer.
What was that time frame, Holly, on Chestnut?
Chestnut can be closed for no more than 5 days.
We'll still have to provide access to those condo. I think there's one condo building and one single house. It's to be able to access.
But they could do it from the backside.
Yeah, the condo can probably access from the backside. I think there's one single family house that has a driveway up a Chestnut that you need to coordinate with them to allow them to. That's.
Any other questions?
I guess it can all come up later, but tests, inspections, the Boyer testing. There won't be a storm drain to go out if you use the blow off of the hydrant. Because there's none at Chestnut, the drug to Chestnut. Storm drain at your top.
Supposed to be a new hydrant installed in that location. The new main.
Yeah, down Chestnut a little ways there is, yeah.
Yeah.
But
right.
if you do Boyer, what I'm saying, if you do Boyer as a test. Where you do the valving. You won't be able to use that hydrant. Chestnut for a blow off. You'd have to use the one at the far end of Boyer.
Yeah.
Out of that
Yeah,
field.
far end of where it gets, okay, there'll be a new one there too.
There's that ditch adjacent to the railroad. There's a ditch adjacent to the railroad, between the railroad and the McFarland property. It doesn't drain very well, but especially this time of year. I think it only floods in the spring. It's a possibility.
Catch basin, like mid block between the railroad tracks.
Yeah, you could also do that.
There is no more questions.
Anybody on Zoom have any questions? If you do, just raise your hand.
We will post the notes from this meeting to our solicitation page, and then we'll also post a Q&A. So all of these questions that we discussed today will be documented.
The sign sheet.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, that ends the meeting.
Thank you, guys.